If anybody is familiar with me, they know that one of the building blocks or the foundations of successful dating and building a relationship are those non-negotiables. The non-negotiables are behaviors and traits that a partner must seemingly have in order for you to continue to see them, to get into a committed relationship with them, to escalate to potentially marriage and move on, right? So talk to us about your non-negotiables. Let's go through them. And then now let's discuss, does he have them? So what's non-negotiable number one for you? Hello, beautiful people. I hope all is well. I hope all is well. My name is Allison Wellington, and I am the host of the Single Sessions podcast. So what is this podcast all about? You probably know me from Instagram. My name there is aligned with Allison, and I'm sure you've seen some content, some bits and pieces where I'm giving people advice around dating and relationships. But here in the Single Sessions podcast, we're going to have a little bit more depth. We're going to have an opportunity to have a conversation, to have a session together so that we can get to the root of some of the dating and relationship woes that you are facing. And hopefully by the end of our session, you're able to walk away with a resolution. So how does this whole thing work? Well, we are going to have a coaching session together. I have pre-selected some folks who are going to call in, and they're going to tell us all the tea. They're going to tell us what's going on in their lives, what issue they're facing, the good, bad, or indifferent. I always hold everybody accountable to what they are doing that may potentially be causing the issue. And again, we're going to wrap up with the opportunity to have a resolution and an opportunity for all of us to learn from the potential mistakes that the client is making on the call today. I want you to think a little bit like Quiet Storm or Frasier. It's that old school radio vibe where there's a real conversation and there are legitimate next steps versus just a quick little clip that you might see on TikTok or on Instagram. We have Tukes Productions at the helm. And we cannot forget our sponsor, Knox Brand Media, the go-to branding coach for 6- and 7-figure millennials, right? So let us talk about what we are going to discuss today. We have Lee. She is waiting to be cued in, and we're going to be talking to her about potentially giving her ex a second chance. So turn it over to Tukes. We're going to let Lee in, and we're going to talk about what she should do, if she should even consider giving her ex a chance. Lee, can you hear us? Are you here?
Hi, Allison. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. Can you hear us good? Is the sound good? We're feeling everything out.
I think so. Can
Okay.
you guys hear me clearly?
Yep, we can hear you. You're on, you're in. All right, Lee. So give us the tea, give us the background. We kind of know what you're calling in about. We're talking about potentially giving our ex a second chance. But before we can talk about a second chance, we need to know the background. Tell us, how did you meet him? What went wrong? What's going on?
Well, we met late around 2010, 2011. And we met just through mutual friends. However, we were not in the same location, which ultimately continued throughout our relationship. Because of our careers, we were not always together. However, we did come together twice and have 2 kids, which both times we were together about a year and change, like cohabitating.
Okay, so quick question, Lee. So you said like coming together. Y'all, what are y'all? Were y'all in a long distance relationship? What are you talking about? Give us, come on.
So prior to my daughter, yes, we were in a long distance relationship.
Okay.
But at some point we did split.
Okay.
And at
So
that, when we did split, however, we didn't behave as if we were splitting.
why did you split? What went wrong?
There was infidelity. It's not infidelity because you're not married, but his part.
Okay. So he cheated.
Yes.
Okay. Do you know with how many?
Pretty much. I went through phones, and also I was contacted, but it was with someone from his past, but they were still current. Not still current, they're still in each other's lives. They have a child together. So
Okay.
his ex.
Okay, got it. So you went through his phone, you found evidence, and did you press him? Then you got the phone call? Like, what is the exact timeline of events here?
I did not press him she came to me. So I found out, then I got a message on Facebook, and then he came and said something, all
Okay.
like in the same day.
So he must have known. What's the chances that he would have done that? Is that what you think?
That is what I think, but also I thought it was very weird that she chose to contact me on the same day that I found out for myself.
Mm-hmm. So what do you think that's like?
All very, can you say that again?
So it's like what, karma? Like, what are you thinking?
I just think it was the universe. I was also pregnant at the time, so it was, I'm very much a let's get this Band-Aid off. So I was kind of I was relieved that I didn't have to go through so much, because I found out and then she's messaging me, and I was just like, okay. And I just took it from there.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So you had your daughter, you are now pregnant with your son, and in the same day you find out, she tells you, he tells you, all of this unravels.
It was just my daughter.
Sorry?
No, at the time I was pregnant with my daughter. So this was the beginning.
Okay, got it. Yeah. So, all right, so you were pregnant with your first child. You found out about all of what was going on. So clearly you worked it out at some point. So talk to us about how you worked it out, or what did that look like?
Okay, so it was toxic. We didn't work it out. We continued to show up in each other's lives however we felt like it. I will say from day one, since the start of our relationship, he's always been taking care of me and my daughter, not in the sense of like, I mean, he financially provides, but not, I work full time and everything like that. But I mean, from day one, he made it so that, anything my daughter needed, she had. It was that way. But once my career took me, and I wasn't holding on to the relationship anymore, and it took me out of state, we just continued, when we weren't in each other's space, and we weren't together. And then when we were in each other's space, we were together. And that was pretty much when he was coming and he was around my daughter.
Okay. So what I'm hearing you say, you let me know if I have this right or wrong. You were together, you were dating, you were in a relationship, you got pregnant. While you were pregnant, you found out everything that you found out. As a result, you broke up, but you did not break things off cleanly. He was still actively not only involved in your daughter's life, but because of that, you blurred the lines and you still continued to have some sort of an semblance of a romantic relationship, at least a sexual relationship. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you conceived your son.
Yeah.
Okay.
I conceived my son then 5 years later. So I guess that speaks on how long we continued to not be clear on what our status was.
Exactly. Okay. So now this 5 years is a long time, Lee. So were there any efforts to say, well, we're still seeing each other, we're still romantically involved, we're still co-parenting seemingly in a positive way. Was there any effort, conversation, discussion in the 5 years to say, can we work this out legitimately?
There was. We went back and forth multiple times. I will say that we both failed to try at the same time. So there were times that he just felt he had more to give into the relationship and it was him fighting. And there were times that I was fighting. So now how we got here is where I'm trying to figure out, like, he's asking to fight and I'm seeing so many changes that I'm like, do I fight? Like, do I make this our time and make it the last time where we both, what do you like to say? Like, when you make that choice every day to try.
Okay. So time has passed. You're both relatively on the same page in terms of considering making an effort. You're considering it and he's pressing for it. Like, what is he saying to you exactly in regards to reconciling this relationship?
He's always been a great dad. And that was never our issue. Our issue was the relationship. And I'm seeing changes in the relationship. And just in his, communication was a big thing. we had a conversation the other day where he literally had me stumped. And I was like, I can't talk right now. And he was like, but you're the talker. And I had to really stop. So he's making those changes, and it's making me say, hey, maybe this is something we can revisit, because certain things were, on my non-negotiables.
Okay, so that's a
And I'm
perfect
seeing that they're
transition.
not non-negotiables.
Yep, that's a perfect transition, Lee, because if anybody is familiar with me, they know that one of the building blocks of the foundations of successful dating and building a relationship are those non-negotiables. The non-negotiables are behaviors and traits that a partner must seemingly have in order for you to continue to see them, to get into a committed relationship with them, to escalate to potentially marriage and move on, right? So talk to us about your non-negotiables. Let's go through them. And then now let's discuss, does he have them? So what's non-negotiable number one for you?
A leader.
Is he a leader?
Yes.
Okay, talk
And
to me
he's
how. How
not
do you know that? What's
a,
the evidence that proves that he has this leadership capability?
in anything that I want, anything my kids need, if I mention it, it will be taken care of. And it's not it's to me, it's in not to me, it's in every sense of the word. If I say I'm hungry, I'm working all day and oh man, I want to taste of some crab legs, or I'm hungry. He knows certain foods will just always hit with me. So I'll get, a drop of some food. If I say, hey, I want to do this for the kids, I'm not as outgoing as I always want to be. But I said to him, hey, I need to do more mommy-daughter things, just me and Pete. And me and my daughter. And, he's like, okay, she likes the park. She likes this park. These are things that he's more outside with. I'm typically working or in school because I'm a student. And he's just supportive. He will take the lead on anything I say I want to do. He's like, okay, this is operations. This is how we're going to get it done. And I love that.
Okay. Number two?
Number two, he is a God-fearing man.
Okay. So, how do we know?
He loves Jesus. I love Jesus.
How do you know? What's the proof?
Our conversation. What's the proof? Our conversations. He's not afraid to go into the Bible, and he reads. He's not an outward person with anything. Like, you won't just look at him and be like, oh, he knows this. It's in conversation. It's when reaffirming certain things with me. It's making sure that I remember God's purpose and, why we're here.
Okay, got it. Number three?
Number three was versatile, so I can bring him into any space. And, I'm not fearful. And I feel like this is like my biggest one. Not to say I'm comfortable, but I feel okay to be me in my skin, and he accepts that. And he, I can bring him anywhere and know that he's going to, he can talk sports, he can talk business, he can talk entrepreneurship, he can talk, a million different ways. We come from the similar backgrounds as far as where we both grew up. So he's versatile, and he provides that security in that. Well, okay. He's versatile, and then my next one is security. Sorry.
No, go ahead. No, keep going. You have security, so let's talk about it.
He will never jeopardize our family. And I know that it's hard to say, hey, he did things in the past. But I say, hey, I need this in order to feel this. And he's like, I got it. Okay. And changes have been made, and they're consistent. I think that was something before that I said he took too lightly. I felt like the things that he did and things that I did, I feel like I did do things that during our time apart, I didn't focus on us as I should have. And I did things that could have jeopardized our family. But his actions have really showed that he's learned from that. And while he's always been a protector of our family from the outside, he realizes how much of him needs to be inside of our family to protect it as well.
Okay, so I need to rewind a little bit, Lee, because I think you might have spilled a little tea by mistake. You said that there was some things that you did that could have potentially jeopardized the family. We started this whole conversation about him. So what's that about?
Well, okay, accountability. That is definitely something that you preach, and definitely something I am so glad that I have learned to do. Keep myself accountable. So originally when we were in a relationship and we were committed, he's the one who cheated. However, when we were just being in each other's space, I dated also. And we already know the stigma and the double standard with men. So that could have very well cost me my whole relationship.
We're not acknowledging that. And I don't care who might see this and might comment below, right? You guys were not in a committed relationship. As a result, you were free to see other people, okay? So we're going to look for accountability another day. I'm all for it. But that part, that piece, the two of you were not in a committed relationship.
We were not, but I can still accept the fact that hurt him. And that could still be a reason that he say, there are plenty of people out there who say, oh no, she dated somebody else. That's it. I'm done. You know, I mean, that's still, regardless of whether or not I was wrong in dating. No.
Okay. It hurt him because he caused the relationship to end. You would have not, I assume, you tell me if I'm wrong, would you have cheated and gone on dates and been romantic with, okay. So the reason why you were even available to do so is because he did an action that caused you to end the relationship. You tell me. Am I wrong?
No, you're right.
Okay, no, it could have hurt him. It hurt him because he did the thing. That's like telling, like somebody gets into an accident, drunk driving, and like, oh no, my leg is broke. Well, who the F told you to drunk drive? Like, you did the action that caused the injury. There would have been no injury had he had not done what he done. So no. Again, I am number one, accountability. What you did wrong. What part did you play? That part, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And I'm sure somebody might say, oh, that hurt his feelings. Well, guess what? His feelings would not have been in a position to be hurt had he had not done what he did. Okay, so with that part where we're not also going to take responsibility for stuff that's not our fault. That we're not going to do. Okay, so Lee,
yes,
he wants to work it out. You're considering, are you in a position to forgive? Mm-hmm. What does forgiveness look like for you?
So I think I forgave him years ago, which is why in my opinion, our co-parents and relationship hasn't, suffered or anything. I always realized that he was a great father and just not the best partner at the time. Also, throughout our time not being together, but him still showing up and being there for my daughter, very active in her life. He was very active, as far as supporting me and what I had going on. If I had things in my career where it needed more time, he was, making sure he was where I was at, staying for months. If I was injured because of my field of work, he was the one, there for my surgeries and things like that. So I think he's shown he can be there for, I guess the things that I felt like he did just because of obligation, not obligation, but because of the type of man that he is. That's, I'm a mother of his kids, then, and I didn't subscribe to that because I felt like you can be here as, to support me as the mother of your kids, but you couldn't be here to support me in a romantic way. So now that I'm seeing him be here for all the parts and do all the things, I'm just wondering whether or not I should take that risk. I feel like I should at this point, especially speaking it out loud.
So, and that's the purpose of single sessions, right? That you have an opportunity to talk to someone who doesn't have a dog in the fight, who can be reflective and who can give you some insight and ask some questions and give you a different angle, right? So, but I do have a concern. And it's not that I'm against forgiveness. I'm actually for forgiveness once there's proof and evidence that the person has changed, and potentially if you can get some professional help to guide you. But the problem was never whether or not he showed up for you in a romantic way. The problem was the infidelity. So what confidence do you have that won't happen again?
I feel like previously we wouldn't communicate certain needs, right? And anything like, hey, when, I come home, I want the space to just come sit in your lap. Allison, in our sessions, we talked about how you walk in the house with a million questions. That was me. That makes him shut down. And rather than me realize that is something, he would just like walk away. And now it's a difference in the communication of needs. I think that he had we've had discussions, and the same way me and him kind of were in a situation where we were comfortable, he kind of went through that. And I have chosen to forgive. Like I said, I forgave years ago before my own mental health, and tried not to, whatever, but we've had our conversations on it, and I don't see it. I see that he's making an effort, and he's been making an effort to make sure certain things that, he's one of those, he's like, hey, do we need to share locations? Like, do you just need to see where I'm at for a little bit and things like that? And I'm like, no. Like, that's just not me as far as that. But he's already said anything I need for me to feel better and to move forward from it, he's willing. But at this point, I forgave, and I kind of just want to move forward.
Okay. I mean, it seems like you already have your answer, Lee.
I know, right? This is, look what you did here.
Look what you done did here, right? So again, it's just the opportunity for you to talk it out. And I think that that's really helpful. And again, for the right questions to be asked and for there to be a different viewpoint. Have you considered, though, or would you consider speaking to a couples counselor just to make sure that if there's anything else that wasn't uncovered, that wasn't discussed, kind of goes out in the open before you take this plunge again?
I am interested in speaking to a counselor. My partner is, I know me on a podcast, my partner is more private. So while he's communicating, I'm going to try to use those behind the scenes toolkits, continue working with you, whereas I can, one big thing I feel like also in our discussions, not to jump over, but you helped me to figure out the right wording to use and to kind of like, you translated something for me. And it's been great in communicating with him and not not placing the blame or not, and accepting ownership for our parts and things. I'm high energy a lot of the time. That's a lot. And so right now, I think I'm going to stick with what we're doing and, slowly try to build. Couples therapy would be the end goal, though. I mean, even if someone's just to say, hey, yeah, y'all are good, it'd be a nice check.
Right. So I know that you said he's private. Obviously, you wouldn't come on a public platform like this, but you said couples counseling being the end goal. I would highly recommend just a session, just one session. And I would also recommend trying to find a therapist who looks like him. So what I advise people is if you're in a relationship and there's one person who is resistant, who isn't necessarily very interested in speaking to a therapist, but they do want to be with you and they do want to work things out, you try to find someone who looks like them. Male, if he's Black, if he's in his age range, cultural identity, American, Caribbean, African, whatever that might look like. Because if you find someone who is like your partner, they're going to be more inclined to listen to them and know that they don't necessarily have some kind of ulterior motive. Versus if you were to choose someone who looks like you, then it's, oh, she's just agreeing with you because she's a woman. Or she's just agreeing with you because she likes you, because you guys could be friends. Versus, y'all have things in common. Y'all both played football. Y'all both did this. You both did that. Y'all could have been friends on your own. So if he, the guy, the therapist, is saying that, hey, sir, you should reconsider, blah, 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 it's really coming up from a place of, I'm not picking sides. If anything, if I would pick sides, it would be your side. So if I'm telling you that you should reconsider, blah, 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 then it probably is coming from a place of really trying to help versus picking a side. So I know you said end goal, but maybe you ask for your birthday, your Christmas, something like, babe, I really would like to do this. You could just do one session, see how it goes. If you're uncomfortable, we won't go back. And I really think that it can help to resolve some kind of maybe unspoken or unknown conflict that you could potentially have. I really want you to consider it.
I really think that's a great idea. And just once again, I told you, working with you, the wording is so important. But I do feel like I have not presented it to him like, hey, one shot. Like we give it a shot and we see where we are after. I am a planner, so sometimes I'm like, hey, we can do this, and then look, there's 10 sessions that we have, and that's a lot, you know.
Right.
So coming to him and saying, hey, us giving it a shot, we can just try one. We can shop around for a therapist. You know, we don't have to put everything into one person immediately. I think that's a great introduction where hopefully both of us will feel comfortable to go in.
Yep. I think that's a great plan. Well, with that being said, Lily, I want to thank you so much for being on Single Sessions. And please keep us updated. Maybe you'll call back in a couple months. Let us know how it goes. And I'm wishing you all the best.
Thank you so much. And I definitely will do.
So let us have our closing conversation. What did we learn with our Single Session with Lee? Number one, what she shared in regards to, that really stuck out to me, was in regards to forgiveness for her own mental health. She said that she forgave her ex-partner, whatever you want to call him. I don't want to call him baby daddy, whatever you want to call him. She forgave him years ago for her own mental health. And I think that that's a part that a lot of us forget about, that even though forgiveness may be difficult, sometimes the forgiveness is not for the other person. And sometimes that forgiveness is for you, so that you're able to move on, so that you're able to feel healed, so that you're able to function in society, function with this guy who is the parent of her 2 children, even if they don't get back together, right? And so we really do have to remember that many times forgiveness is not about the other person. Forgiveness may mean that you never speak to that person again, that you never deal with them again, but forgiving so that you're able to move on and then potentially you can build healthy relationships with someone else is super key. As we wrap up, I want to thank everyone for listening, but please do not forget that whatever it is you want out of life, you have to work for it, because faith without works is dead. You have to align with the life that you want in order to get the love that you want. And for those who listened all the way through the end, I do have a gift for you. I want you to check out my free training, The Partner You Deserve. The link is in my show notes, where I give guidance, advice, and support on how to reposition yourself on the dating scene. Again, I want to thank Knox Brand Media for sponsoring this episode. This is another episode of Single Sessions. In order to be featured, all you have to do is check out alignwithallison.com/podcast to tap in. Have a good one. Peace.